And we're back. I'm Dennis Hodges. I'm really glad to have you join me for this video. Besides taking photographs and exhibiting my work, I really enjoy the opportunity to lead workshops and teach courses on photography. I have had the opportunity to work with students and other artists and other photographers around the world and share some ideas, share some concepts with them to help them grow as artists, to help their work transform. In this video, I'm going to share 3 secrets that'll help transform your work. Now, these ideas go beyond the fundamentals. They're in there, but this is much deeper than that. This gets back again at your voice and how to share it and how to bring your work to the forefront to show what makes your work unique. I hope you find this transformational. That's what the goal is. So let's get started. Let me hop on the computer and we'll get going. Okay, here we are for video number 3. In this video, I want to share with you 3 secrets for taking amazing photographs. Now in this video, we're going to go a bit deeper than we have in the previous 2 videos. I hope from video number 2, you've seen some immediate improvement in your work from the ideas I shared with you earlier in that video. Go take a look at it. If you haven't had a chance, try those concepts out and see if they get you some traction in your work. This time, I want to tap into your inner creative. I want to go deeper into some concepts that we have before. And this video is the deeper concepts I want to share with you are really to help you grow as an artist. Now a little bit more about me. As I've mentioned before in the previous videos, my passion is helping others realize their creative potential. I'd love to share ideas and share concepts with people to see them grow and help them achieve their goals. And I do that. Most of my work happens through leading workshops. I do keynotes and talks around photography and creativity. I've also been an invited artist working with students. And in fact, here's a couple pictures from some of my work. This first one's kind of funny to me because it looks staged, but it's actually not. We had just broken up as a group talking. We're on a field trip in Colombia. We were talking about the project the students are working on. And they all just immediately, look, they're all photographers, right? So they grabbed their cameras and started taking pictures on the spot immediately. It looks kind of funny in this picture. Here's another picture of me working with a group of students in a classroom setting, sharing work, talking about their work. And I really, truly enjoy that because to me, it's so rewarding to see others have that aha moment with their work. When they achieve a breakthrough, they see something new, they see something different they had before. That's really, really important to me and feels so good to watch people have success in their work. Now to start us with this video, great quote here by Ansel Adams, that there's nothing worse than a brilliant image of a fuzzy concept. Think about that for a second. He's talking about vision and understanding what it is you want to accomplish. Now, as I mentioned, the objectives of this session are to teach you 3 secrets for taking amazing photographs and help you learn how to apply them to your work immediately. I like people to get immediate success with their work and take some concepts and employ them and see some success as quickly as they possibly can. Now, the first tip I want to share with you here is how to pull us into the experience, how to connect with the viewer on a multi-sensory level. Now, we have 5 senses, right? We have seeing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and hearing. We also have, there are 6 basic emotions: happiness, sadness, fear, anger, surprise, and disgust. Now, we use these nonstop. We don't even think about our senses. It's how it connects us with the world, what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we feel. The same thing with emotions. They're very real. They're part of us being human. They're part of what makes us who we are. And we have these emotions. Sometimes we suppress them or we try to mask over them or try to hide our emotions, but they're very much a very real part of us. And so we use them all the time. The question is, how can we use them in our photography? And while it's a challenge to do this with a 2-dimensional image, it's possible to activate both senses and emotions by selecting the right subject and how you share that subject with others. It's not only possible, it's actually quite compelling when you do that. Take this image, for example. Now, if you've ever been around snow in your life, you can see how much snow is on these trees. It's a lot of snow that's sticking in the trees. And the fact that it's still on the trees, you know that it's quiet. There's no wind. It's very still. And so as a result, snow soaks up all the sounds around it, right? And snow is frozen rain, right? It's icy. So you know that it's cold. You know that it's quiet. You know it's dead quiet because it just soaks up everything around it. The gray of the sky in the background, it lends this neutral canvas on top of us. And so this picture helps us feel that cold, helps us feel that isolation, helps us feel that silence that comes with snow in that image. This is a different picture. These are two brothers. And as I've mentioned, I think earlier in portraits, when I take portraits, I like to let people settle into their situation, let them settle into the moment, and then capture the picture of them, because that's when you begin to capture their emotions and their true feelings. And you can see the gentleman on the left-hand side here is lost in his own thoughts. He's pondering something. He's off somewhere else. His brother in the background is a little curious, looking at me, wondering what's going on. Yes, there's some curiosity here, wondering what his brother's thinking perhaps. But because of the fact that I let them settle into that moment, gave them a chance then to be who they are and reflect their true emotions. This image comes from a fence in Dubrovnik, Croatia, actually. And if you're familiar with locks on a fence, what these symbolize is young lovers, or lovers, I don't know if they're young or not, I guess. Lovers come to the fence. They pledge their eternal love to one another. They seal it with the lock on this fence, and they toss the key into the ocean below. So that's it. Their love is here. Their love is forever. It's cemented. It's locked. It's not going anywhere. And take a look at some of the locks. Each of these locks has a story to it, doesn't it? Each lock it's a relationship. And you look down the lower right-hand corner, it's a very rusty lock. It's been there a long time, right? With the salt water and the sea and the sun and the wind and the water has caused it to rust quite a bit. Some of the locks are a bit newer. Now, the one I like is right in the middle where that triangle shape is. And you can tell what happened, right? Someone sealed their love in that lock, and then something happened to that relationship. The relationship fell apart, I guess. And someone came and cut that lock out of the fence, leaving a hole in the fence and leaving a hole in their lives as a result. This image captures a couple of things, right? It's a couple of tricycles sitting in a window. That's the glass. You get the reflection from the street coming behind that. And you can see that the street's empty, right? It's void of human life. There's nobody out there playing, no kids on tricycles or bicycles, no one playing on the street. Look at the tricycles a bit closer. You can see the one runs right through the middle of the image. You can see where it's been welded in the middle. That's a well-used tricycle, right? Kids are using it so much, it broke, and the father or the grandfather, somebody welded it back together for them so they could keep going with it. All these have got scrapes and bumps and scratches on them from crashes and well-used childhoods. Lots of kids riding these things, riding them hard, riding them a long time. It's a bit sad, this image, I think, because it's sort of like a childhood that's lost, right? Here, these tricycles, they're in the window, like a dog in the window wanting to go out to play, but they're behind the glass. They're now on display, and the streets are empty of the kids. Where are the kids? Well, they've all grown up. They've moved on. There are no kids left, is what it suggests in this image. These two gentlemen, right, sitting on a park bench. Just look at him for just a second here. You can tell the gentleman on the left is telling some story about his shoe. And you can tell these guys they're old, obviously, and I'm assuming maybe they're widowers. Perhaps now they're by themselves. And they meet on that bench, I'm going to guess, maybe every day, several times a week perhaps. They sit and catch up on the gossip, right? They catch up on life. They share stories with one another, and they probably known each other for 1,000 years. But just the way the image is here with a guy telling a story on the left-hand side about his shoe and the other gentleman looking on and just talking about life and just kind of enjoying the moment. It's a little heartfelt moment, a little warm situation, warm feeling in how this image looks. I'd like to share a case study with you here. This is about a strawberry market in Warsaw. Now, let me set the situation up for you here. So it was in June, and strawberries in Central Europe are very much a seasonal product. They're available for about 3 weeks when strawberries are ripe, and then you don't have strawberries for another year because they're all grown locally and they're harvested locally and used locally. So you can imagine when the strawberries are ripe, these are growing out in the farm somewhere outside the cities. The farmers pick them that day, they bring them into town, they set up impromptu strawberry markets, fruit markets on street corners, set out some pallets and boxes and some pieces of wood and bring out the pallets of strawberries out there and sell them to the people. And people cannot wait for it because they are ripe that moment. They were picked that morning or the night before, and they're ready to go to the market. So imagine the situation. It's a warm day, sun's beating down, it's warming up the strawberries, the smell of the strawberries is rising up, and you know what a fresh strawberry smells like. People are buzzing, they're all excited, they get their strawberries, they're ready to buy them, ready to go for them. You can smell that, you can see it, you can feel the excitement, feel the buzz in the marketplace. Now, my question is, can you smell the strawberries? Can you taste them? Is your mouth watering right this minute from my description, perhaps? Well, if my description weren't enough, take a look at this photograph, because that's where it's at. You can tell these strawberries are all perfect. They're ready to go. They were picked, ripe, pricked, fresh. They were ready at that moment. You can't get a fresher strawberry other than eating it off the vine, perhaps. That's what I'm talking about. Engaging the senses. We talked about different senses in this one and different emotions that come just through a two-dimensional image, but what can you convey in that image? What can you share with the viewer as a result? The next secret I'd like to share with you is talk about how to share your unique perspective. Look, you have your own perspective of the world, okay? And this starts out from how tall you are, how high your eyes are from the ground, and then you add to it your life's experiences, your culture, your opinions, your training, your knowledge, what hand is dominant for you. All these different things shape who you are, even your vision. You have perfect vision. Do you wear really strong corrective lenses to help you, or you're blind perhaps? It depends upon everything that makes you is what shapes your perspective on the world. The question is, what do you do with this view? Because what you do with your individual perspective is what makes you different from everyone else. Yes, there are a lot of photographers who are taking pictures of a certain subject perhaps, or a certain theme, but only you do what you do. And it's your perspective and your unique perspective that you need to share with the world. Now, I have kind of a quirky sense of humor, and I look for the humor in life just on a daily basis. Just something fun I do as I'm walking around and I see something that it's just normal, for us out there, but to me, it strikes me kind of funny. For example, this. That to me is a pretty specialized store. What do you sell? Well, we sell ears. Obviously, it's just a burned out light, but trying to find the humor in what I saw there. Or perhaps you've seen this symbol before. Now, what does this sign usually mean to you? I mean, for most people, it means it's a trash can. It's a rubbish bin. Here's where you can drop your trash, please. To me, look at the picture again. To me, it says it's a sad day when a juggler abandons his dreams. Just trying to find the humor in things, just trying to see something a bit different. This image came when I was at the Tate Modern Museum in London. I've been walking around the museum a bit. There's a great little observation platform there. Stepped out to get some fresh air, take a break from the amazing artwork. Looked down in the courtyard below, and this is what I saw down below with the chairs in this courtyard, and they were scattered a bit from the night before, and it's raining. You can tell the pavement's wet and everything. And I call this image urban flamingos. I was tasked with shooting a meeting. Now, taking pictures of a meeting, it's kind of like, what do you do with that? How do you make that interesting to the viewer, not just the person sitting in the room, but how can you convey what's going on in the meeting, what's some of the experiences and the emotions and the activity that's happening in the room. So instead of staying in the front of the room and getting a nice group shot around the room, it's sort of meaningless, right? So I chose then instead to go behind this gentleman, over this gentleman's shoulder, to look at the lady on the other side of the table who's conveying some very serious information to him. You can tell she's staring him directly in the eye. She's got her hands out there. She's trying to frame something to him to express her opinion, make her point clear. And you look at the gentleman, you can't see much about him. You can tell he's got his glasses on. You can see his forearm is up in front of his face. It's kind of like his hands are clenched, perhaps, in front of his chin's resting on his hands, perhaps. Very much a defensive move, if you will. He has his arms up, kind of blocking this lady's, not attack, but, as she's talking to him, he's kind of defending himself in that case. So trying to make, shift the perspective of this meeting, this discussion a bit more to where it becomes a more meaningful photograph as a result. It's a picture of a meeting, but because of the angle I took with this, it kind of gives it a whole different feel to it, different vibration to it, conveying something a bit different than just people sitting around a table having a conversation. Speaking of your unique perspective, take a moment right now where you're sitting, right where you are. Look around you. What do you see that could be a composition? What is a composition that's there with the lights coming in, how it's playing on something, a shadow it creates? Maybe it's just a composition on, are you watching this on your phone? Are you watching this on your computer? I don't know. But take a look at where you are right now and look for this unique composition that's available. That's your perspective. That's what you can share with the world. That's what you see that other people are missing. Now, this image isn't anything fancy, anything important. It was simply taken when I was waiting for a taxi at a hotel, right? Waiting for the taxi to show up. I'm standing in the lobby looking around, minding, just taking for a moment just to observe life and observe the world around me. And I saw this little composition with the shadow from the staircase and the wrought iron railing and the shadow coming on the corner and the tiles on the floor, and just made this composition as a result, just because that's what I took time to see. And you can do the same thing. You can do it right now, where you're sitting. What do you see? What's unique? What can you share that shares your perspective? The last secret I want to share with you is how to make it all work together. Okay, and what I mean is that what's the unity in your imagery, in your photography, in your work? And unity is that there's a complete and pleasing whole. Now I'm talking about one specific image, or it could be even a series of images in this case, but how all the elements in an image, how do they conspire to work together? Because each of the elements in an image has a role to play, and they need the other elements in the image to create a beautiful whole and to balance one another. Whether it's the mix of light and shadow, the perspective you've used, the balance between the images and the elements in the image, rather, they all come together as one. And this is really, really important. It also works when you're shooting a series of images, how each of the images work together, side by side, as a whole, as a complete whole. Think about it, if you will, like a musical ensemble, okay? Where each instrument has its part to play. Without a given instrument, the piece just doesn't work. Think about that from a symphony perspective, or a rock band, or a jazz band, or a choral work, where you have multiple parts, and if one part is missing, it just doesn't work. And so, everyone has a role to play in music. Every element in an image or in a series of images has a role to play that's really, really important. And it's how they all work together is how this comes together and how this works for you and for the image. In this image, you have a couple things going on. You have repetition, right? Repetition of the cowboy hats, and they lead off into the direction of the gentleman with the sort of the red and beige checkered shirt helping the cowboy in the chute. And you have the white gates in the foreground that are leading us as well to that cowboy. Just see the top of his brown cowboy hat in the distance there. It's a rodeo, okay? And all the cowboys are standing by watching, curious what's going to happen. The cowboy's in the chute. We can't see his face. He's getting to ride something, getting ready to ride something like a bull perhaps, or a bronco, a horse. But he's there and he's ready to go. But again, all the elements conspire to bring this image together. You have line, you have movement, you have repetition that happens. The same is true in this image. I call this image endless. If you've ever seen this is the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin. And I encourage you when you go to Berlin to take time for that. It's powerful, powerful memorial. And it's an amazing work of art in itself, but the message is so, so strong. And these granite monoliths extend off in the distance. You can tell they go out there quite a ways. It's a massive, massive memorial. And this is my interpretation of this memorial, where you have the repetition of these stones. Are these graves? Are they markers? You can't tell what they are really from the image, but it's a very emotional picture as a result. I chose to shoot it in black and white. I chose to shoot it with my Diana camera, which I've talked about earlier, and because it gives that textural feel to it and that very emotional feel to the image as well. In this image, it's simple repetition, right? It's repetition of the branches and the complexities, and they go off in the gray background. You see branches way, way off in the distance. And just the fact you have this weightiness of the trunk on the left-hand side of the image with the branches that go out and they get smaller and smaller out to the right, just gives this picture just a nice little textural feel as a result. This image, to me, I like this image. It's a lot of fun. And besides the fact it's obviously a florist, right? A flower shop in Paris. And they're selling roses. And here they are. And you can see, the price per rose. And they've gone through a lot of roses today. There are a lot of petals on the ground. They've sold a lot of flowers on this day. But just the textural feel of it, you can smell those roses. You can see them, the different colors, different layers, the repetition of the wood throughout, offset by the circular forms and everything. The balance in the image is actually quite nice. Just a nice little image capturing that moment outside of a flower shop. So what you've learned in this lesson is, you've learned 3 secrets for taking photographs, I hope, right? And the first one is how to draw us into the experience using senses, emotions, and storytelling, right? Think about those images we looked at with the bicycles in the window, and we talked about the brothers, different ways to capture those emotions in our senses. And we talked about how to share your unique perspective. Your perspective is unique. It's different from everybody else, and you need to share that. And humor is a great way to share that too. I like to use humor in some of my photographs because we all enjoy a good laugh. It's a great, happiness is one of our emotions, and a good laugh is always part of that. The last tip I shared with you is how to make the whole image work, how to bring it all together with all the different elements, the contrast, the differences, the light values, the repetition, the lines, the different shapes and forms that bring an image together quite nicely. To help you move your work forward, just a reminder that you feel things every single minute of every single day. As a living human being, you feel something. You cannot not feel something. It's just part of our makeup as human beings. The question is, how can you convey what you're feeling through your images? Whether you're feeling happy or you're feeling sad or you're anxious or you're worried or angry, whatever it may be, how can you convey that in your photography? What elements are in your photo that share your feelings with others? Think about what you compose, what's in that image, what's in that message that shares those feelings, that shares that message with other people. And how do all of those elements work together? Think about those 3 things, those 3 messages I'm shared with you here, with each of your photographs and every time you take a picture. How can you convey that? How can you share your perspective and bring emotion into the image? Very appropriate. Final quote for us here is from Paul Gauguin, the painter, who said, "I shut my eyes in order to see." Beautiful thought, no?